I'm so excited for this one. If you haven't got yourself a drink already, grab yourself a drink. A cup of tea, a coffee, a glass of wine, whatever your tipple is for whatever time of day it is, grab yourself a drink because we're gonna be talking all things engagement, proposal, and even a little bit of wedding as well. Oh, that tastes so good. The first drink of the weekend. Hopefully Cameron is gonna join us to answer a couple of the questions. It's 6:10. Well, actually it's 6:15. 6:15 in my universe is the end of the workday, so I've got myself a glass of wine. I'm having a good time. We're gonna hang out and answer some questions. He's working very hard. He's being a very good worker and he's still in a couple of calls and answering some emails, but as soon as he's free, he's gonna come down and hopefully answer some of the questions that I got through that were directed more towards him. So you can also hear his perspective because maybe my side of the story is completely different to whatever he thought. But thank you so much to everybody that sent in questions, whether that was in the comments on YouTube or in DMs or answering the question box on Instagram. The fact that you want to know all the details honestly makes me so happy because anyway, it just confirms how I feel about this corner of the internet, that it's just like chatting and hanging out with friends. And on that note, thank you so much to everybody that commented and sent me messages of just love and support. And I guess not just me, but Cameron and I, it's just, honestly, it's made me very emotional. I don't know what I did to deserve such a lovely community of people on this corner of the internet, but you're all fantastic. And I'm so sorry I haven't been able to get back to everybody's comments. I'm still making my way through them, but thank you. It really does mean a lot that you're happy and excited for us because I'm very happy and excited too. So let's dive straight into the questions. I've got quite a few here. I'm going to start right at the very beginning. This isn't technically proposal or engagement related, but I did have a few questions asking me about how Cameron and I actually met. So if you don't know the history of us, I'll just go over that super quickly. The very short story version is we met on Hinge. We're an internet dating couple, very modern, I know. Truly, it just feels more and more common that that's how people meet now. I mean, I'm so grateful to Hinge, to be honest. I have no idea how him and I, well, we probably would never have crossed paths without it. So yeah, we met on Hinge and we basically hit it off straight away. Our very first date, we met at a pub. I was so scared of internet dating, like you have no idea. Also, fun fact, it was actually my first internet date. I cannot tell you how, I literally was like, I'd rather take every exam I ever did at school, university again. I'd rather do anything else than go on this date. Like, I did not want to go on a date with him. I obviously did, but then I just got such cold feet, and I remember speaking to my friends, being like, I just don't want to go. And if any of my friends had basically said to me, you don't have to go, if you really don't want to, you don't have to go, and they'd given me an out, I would have taken it and I would have been like, okay, cool, I'm not going. But all of them had been like, no, you need to get back on the horse. I'd come out of a previous relationship and I'd been very miserable and I hadn't been dating, and they were like, no, go. He's a nice guy. You've been loving talking to him. You were super excited. It's just, you're just being a chicken basically. So just go. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad all my friends made me go. But yeah, we went to a pub because I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want a formal dinner. I want to go, and if I am going to meet a complete stranger, if I hate it, I want to be able to leave after one drink. But anyway, we went to this lovely pub and we ended up chatting all night. They ended up having to literally kick us out, and it was literally the most perfect first date ever. And I knew he was wonderful and gentlemanly right from that moment. He waited till I was in my taxi, and yeah, the whole thing was lovely. But yeah, internet dating is how we met, so Hinge. And then I suppose our journey after that is he proposed on our 2-year anniversary. So we've only been together for, I don't know what's long or what's short anymore in the world of dating. But yeah, it was our 2-year dating anniversary, the day he proposed, which is also why, I'll get to the whole proposal story later. But it's also why a lot of the nice things he was planning, I then didn't know. I kind of thought that it would be basically, I was doing too much investigating. I'm too skeptical for my own good, because I was like, that would be a really good way to hide planning nice things, because you've got the excuse, because it'd be like, oh, I'm going to plan a lovely dinner for us to go out on that particular night because it's our anniversary. And I was like, is it because it's our anniversary, or is it because that's a nice time to propose? Anyway, I'll get into that in a minute. So that was our story. Met on Hinge, dated for 2 years, and we bought this house together. I guess that's 18 months into being together. So that's kind of our timeline story. Okay, I'm gonna save all the questions about the ring and picking it out and him asking my parents and the whole story behind like the pre-proposal for when he gets here, because I think it'd be good to get his perspective on all of that. So I'm gonna dive straight to the actual day, the actual proposal, because I've had so many questions from you guys asking, did you have any idea he was going to propose? Is it something that we discussed? How did you know he was going to propose that very day? For how long had you been hoping he was going to propose? Okay, so to answer a few of those, I hadn't really been hoping he was going to propose any time before that trip. Again, I'll wait till he's here to really talk through the whole thing, but in my head, I just thought it was, put it this way, I didn't think it was going to be at any point before that trip. We bought this house in October, and one of the biggest, probably the biggest thing that I love about our relationship so much is our communication, just how much we talk. I mean, honestly, Cameron could talk for the whole of South Africa and England and every country in the world. He's just, he probably is a chatter, and he doesn't ever shut up talking. From the minute he opens his eyes at 6 a.m, he just like wants to tell me everything, and I love that so much. So we've always been really open with communication. We've always talked about, and honestly, when we first started dating, actually, we've always been really upfront about like what we want from life. And we both knew going into literally our first date that we both eventually wanted a family, and we both wanted to get married. And we've always been very open and like on very similar pages about when in our lives we wanted to do all those things. So the concept of us getting engaged wasn't like new to me or new to us, and we'd like been talking about it for the entire duration of our relationship, to be honest. And when we bought the house, we had both kind of said we wouldn't necessarily want to do the proposal married thing until we'd at least lived in this house for 6 months, because anybody that's been through it knows that buying a house is such a process. It's quite a stressful process. There's so much that goes into it. It's quite a tiring process, and also a really exciting time as well. And just for us personally, because we had, again, I don't know what's long or short, so I'm just talking about it in our terms, but because we had only been together for 18 months, we just didn't want to pile too many things onto our plate at one time, and we just wanted to enjoy each of the things as it came. So we bought this house, and it was such a huge, insanely exciting. We never thought we'd get a house this amazing, so it was just, the whole process of this house was so exciting that we didn't want to just pile anything else on top of it. We just wanted to enjoy it for what it was, do this for at least 6 months. So I never had any illusion of it happening any sooner than it did. In my head, I was like, oh, I reckon like the first possibility, when, like, you know, when you go for drinks with your girlfriends, or we're out for brunch and they'd be like, oh, when do you think Cameron will propose? I was always like, I think the soonest he could possibly do it would be Italy, because that's like our 2-year anniversary. And just in my head, I always thought that he wouldn't want to do it before 2 years. We can ask him this question when he comes down. But yeah, I didn't think he'd propose until at least Italy. And then how did I know he was going to propose that very day? Again, honestly, I didn't. I can't explain how. I had zero evidence. He was so chill. He was so calm. Nothing was like set in stone. Everything was like, oh, what should we do tomorrow? And I was like, okay, well, he's a planner and he's an organizer. He's a spreadsheet guy. If he's gonna propose, like, he's gonna have a plan. And the fact that he didn't have a plan for the day, like, really threw me off. He also like didn't have any issues if I like went to get anything out of his backpack, or like I went to get anything out of his bag. One of my very best friends, Holly, like, she got engaged last year when her and her fiance were on holiday, and she tells so many funny stories about how she'd like go to get something out of his backpack and he'd like lunge across the room at it to be like, no, don't go in there. But Cameron was just like, yeah, go in my bag, like, yeah, whatever. And then I was like, okay, well, we don't have anything planned for Saturday. Should we go and ask the hotel? Because we were staying in such a nice hotel, which was the other thing that slightly, not tipped me off, because it didn't tip me off, but I was slightly, when I was talking to my friends about it before, I was like, it could happen in Italy, because we have never stayed in a hotel as expensive as this before. Not that it's about the money, but I was like, we really like splashed for it. And we've said that it's because it's both of our 30th birthdays this year, and it's our 2-year anniversary, so like, let's really go for it. But I was also like, even then, he was quite like, let's do it, let's just like really stay somewhere super special. And I was like, okay, this is like a lot of money, you know, for us to spend on a hotel. But anyway, we went for it, but that was also why I was kind of like, maybe there's an extra special reason why we're like really splurging for this particular holiday. So I was like, okay, well, should we ask the hotel like concierge person, because they had one of those at this hotel, what we should do on that Saturday if we don't have any plans? And he was like, yeah, great idea. Anyway, so we go to the front desk, we speak to reception, and I'm like, have you got any ideas? Like, we'd like to explore the local area. And she was like, yes, there's this really beautiful walk. It's super famous, called the Path of the Gods. And it's along the cliffs between Positano and Amalfi, I think it was. And It's like a 5-hour hike, but it's really beautiful all along the cliff tops. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. And Cameron was also like, oh, I've never heard of that. And she was like, how can you never heard of it? It's like super famous. Anyway, it's beautiful. She got all the bus times because she was like, basically there's 2,000 steps to the top. It's like a proper hike to the top, like not to be taken lightly, and 2,000 steps back down. And that's just to the start of the 5-hour walk. And I was like, not sure I'm gonna be able to handle that in this heat. And she said, what some people do is get the bus up and down and just do the walk, or you can walk up the steps one way and get the bus the other way, etc. And Karen was like, oh yes, tell us more, tell us more, tell us more. And so I was like, oh yeah, this sounds really lovely. Like, let's get up early, do this walk in like the morning, and then we can come and chill by the beach in the afternoon. And we thought that was a lovely plan, and we were all very excited about it. And I was like, cool. And then again, I had no evidence, but I still woke up that morning feeling like, I just feel like it's gonna be today. And I couldn't explain why. I was like, I know him, and I know that he would have planned it out, and he hasn't planned out anything for the day. He had planned dinner at night. So then I was like, oh, maybe it'll be at dinner. Honestly, I know I'm rambling, but I can't explain to you why. I just felt like something in me tells me that it's gonna be on this walk. Anyway, we can add more detail in a bit when he arrives, but turns out he knew about this path the entire time. He always knew we were gonna go on the walk. Anyway, as you saw, like I had to really pep talk myself, and I woke up in the morning and I was like, just stop it. I was like, right, I'm not gonna wear any makeup, and the dress I also wore was like completely creased, and I didn't iron it. There wasn't an iron in our room. But then equally, I did kind of, because, sorry, I'm literally babbling, but the dress that I did wear, I also did wear because I'm very sentimental. And the dress I wore was actually the dress that I wore on our 3rd date, which was like our first kiss date, because it was so hot in London that summer. And I was like, oh, it'd be cute if I was wearing the same dress as our first kiss, like when he proposed. Anyway, I don't know how I knew, basically. That's such a long, rambly answer. I don't know how I knew, because he acted so chill, but somehow I knew. Right, let me text him, because now would be a good time to tell you the whole story of the actual like walk and the actual proposal. On my way, okay, he's coming. And then he can give us some insight into, well, we can both tell the story of how we actually, the actual proposal. No, it's so nice.
I'm coming in garden.
You can wear a t-shirt, it's fine. Come on. It is. Right, now we've got him here, we're going to talk about the actual story of the proposal. So I was just saying how I kind of knew, but I had no evidence to know. Yeah. Like, I thought that it was going to be that day, but you were super chill, you didn't give anything away. It seemed like you'd never heard of that walk before and knew nothing about it, but then we went on this walk anyway. Anyway, so the actual day. I was like, I'm not walking up these 2,000 steps. Did you want us to get the steps up and down? You have a lot more energy than I do.
Yes, but I wanted to get the steps down, remember? I wasn't too fussed about them going up. I think it sounded like a lot. I think I wasn't going to get you on the walk. Well, it was touch and go if I was going to get you on the walk if I made you do the steps.
Yeah, I would have been like, nah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah. Anyway, so we got the bus up. It was in the morning. I think we got like the 9 o'clock bus up or something like that. It was relatively early in the morning.
9, yeah.
Yeah, so we got the bus up in the morning, and it was honestly like something out of a weird fairy tale, wasn't it? It was so surreal when we got up there. It was, I can't even remember the name of the little town. It was called like Nocella or something.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
That's right.
Was it? Yeah. At the top, and it was like completely silent, peaceful. There was like a little bit of a clip that I included of it in the Italy vlog. It wasn't it so quiet?
Yeah, huge.
Tiny
town, there's literally no one.
And it was like all nature. There was like a little donkey, and it was honestly one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, that little village. And we stopped and got a little coffee because, what was I grumpy about?
You were just tired, I think. I don't think you slept super well.
I was anxious, that was it. I was literally nervous and anxious. And then he was like, right, I'm not taking her on this walk if she's going to be a bit grumpy at the beginning of it. So we stopped and got a coffee.
At that beautiful place.
Yeah, which was so beautiful. And then we could ask the lady that worked there where we got a coffee for directions as well. So she kind of pointed us in the direction of starting the walk.
She did look at us like we were crazy because the way we were dressed to go on that walk, she was like, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so we started this walk. I'm in a little sundress and flip-flops. No, I wasn't in flip-flops. I was in trainers, but they were like flat soled. They weren't like proper trainers. So I was in my little trainers and my sundress. Your trainers were a bit better than mine.
Yeah. My running shoes.
But we started this trail. Everyone's in like hiking boots, has sticks, has like backpacks on, have those camel packs. I literally turned and I was like, Cameron, come now. I'm way out of my depth, like way out of my depth. Everyone is like prepped to walk. I thought we were going on like a nice stroll along the hilltops. Anyway, so we start walking. We probably walk for like half an hour, maybe. Yeah, probably something like half an hour. It is beautiful. We're walking through like forest and
because it goes like down.
It kind of goes like down and up and around.
The ravine.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a cliff top walk, but there's also kind of valleys and woods. There was all different kinds of landscapes. It was on, even in like the 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever it is that we walked, it was like stunning. But it was so hot.
It was very
like
hot.
I was sweating.
Yeah, it was very
Anyway, so we've walked for our 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, and I'm like, I need a break, let's sit down. And we came to like this little outcropping bit where the valley was, anyway, you saw the cliffs. There was like, it was a bit of a ravine with two kind of mountain bits on each side, and then our bit kind of jutted out a little bit and you could see the ocean. It was beautiful. Anyway, I was like, I need a break, I need a break. Cameron was like, right, sit down. He like sat me down on the edge, was like, sit down, I'll get you some water. And then he went into his backpack and like handed me a bottle of water so I could sit there and drink. And then that's when he got the ring out and set up the GoPro.
I did.
And then came over, knelt down, said a bunch of lovely things.
Well, to be honest, I stumbled over my words. I had this whole thing recited or prepped in my head, but it definitely didn't go that way. Like,
I think
the same words came out. Like I got the point across, I think, but not the lovely way I had strung it together. It came out as a bunch of words.
Well, to be honest, I said afterwards, I was like, I'm pretty sure I blacked out, so I'm not sure anyway. Like, I honestly just, my brain just short-circuited. I have no idea what happened. But that was what was really cool about the GoPro, because we also have the audio for the GoPro, which like we'll just keep for us. So actually, you did say lots of lovely things. Like you did a good job, considering I would have had no hope if it was the other way around.
Well, you saw my leg, like my whole leg, my whole everything is just
I
shaking.
know, some of the questions that we got were like, was he nervous?
Yeah.
You might, if you watch the reel, and I don't know if it's actually the bit where your leg is crazy shaking in the YouTube bit they put in the vlog last week. If you go onto Instagram and watch the reel, there's a section, it's only like a second long, where his leg is literally like properly jelly. Yeah, you were shaking. Yeah. But again, I didn't notice that at the time because I was probably shaking too.
Yeah.
It was only when I looked back and you were like, no, I was really nervous. I was like, you really didn't seem it though.
Well, I wasn't nervous in the lead up to it. Like.
So I mean, he was so chill.
It's weird, yeah, because I just try, as I said to you the other night, like the thing is I tried not to think too hard about it because then I would feel overwhelmed. So I just didn't think too hard about it. I like went with the flow and I obviously had a plan and just had blind faith that it was going to happen. And thankfully it did.
It did.
Like I don't know whether you took the signals or it just, I just also thought it was a normal thing for us to do. It wasn't a weird thing for us to do.
No.
So then I thought like the probability of it happening was high.
Yeah.
So yeah, but as I went to get out of my bag, as I got the ring box in my hand, that all feels surreal, and you just get totally. I got totally overwhelmed. Like that's why the words came out as garbage, and got down on my knee, was just shaking. And
I fully panicked. Like I didn't cry. I mean, I did cry, and when I watch it back, I absolutely did cry almost immediately. But at the time, I felt like the stretch of time between when he was down on one knee and I responded was like hours long. I literally was like, Ellen, do something, say something, respond in some way. And I watch it back and I'm like, actually pretty much immediately I'm crying, but that moment felt like it stretched on for ages. Anyway, it was so nice, we had the best time, and then obviously we didn't walk back down. My legs were literally jelly, as bad as his were.
Well, I mean, we sat there for what, probably an hour on the edge of that cliff?
Oh, it was so nice, that's so true. Yeah, we sat down and I immediately had like 100 questions. He did something so nice. We both found it, I think, really hard, which is also why like I found some of the process frustrating. We both found it hard knowing that we were doing something in our lives that was separate from each other. Yeah. Like I found it really hard knowing that he was planning things and like we couldn't talk about it together.
Yeah, I found that very hard.
And he found it hard not being able to like consult me and talk to me about something huge we were both planning.
Yeah, you're my teammate, we do everything together.
Yeah, so anyway, he had filmed himself and like a range of videos like throughout the process of like when he'd been to the ring consultation and when he'd like bought the ring and when he spoke to my parents, so that I could then watch them afterwards where he was kind of like just chatting to me, telling me all about how it was going, which was like the nicest thing. So I like watched those videos on top of that cliff, asked him all about how he asked my dad or spoke to my dad, and we just like literally chatted up there for like an hour, and then got the bus back down, and then called all of our friends and family from the hotel room, and then just drank a lot of Prosecco. Anyway, then going back to, like, we had quite a few questions asking about, did he ask your parents, and how did he do it, if he did?
Yeah, I did. So logistically, I wanted to do it, I wanted to do it face to face, but I found it logistically difficult to come up with an excuse to go see your parents randomly at their house a week or so before. The other thing is, like, I love your parents to death, but they're notoriously bad at keeping secrets.
I am very close with my...
Very close.
I'm very close with my parents. I definitely speak to my mum every day for like several hours every single day. And we'd actually talked about it before, like back when we just talked about getting engaged, and I'd said to him then, like, don't ask them too far in advance, because I'll be able to tell if something's off with them, and I know that they'll react. And even then, actually, that was one of the clues that like slightly set me off, was that my mum, when I saw her just before we went, she was like, oh, have you like planned your YouTube videos and stuff for when you're going to be away? I was like, yeah, like I'm going to need to do a little bit of editing while I'm there, and I'm going to film a bit while I'm there, etc. And she was a bit like, no, like don't work while you're there, like just really enjoy it and like just have a really good time. And normally she'd be a bit more chilled about like, oh yeah, do what you got to do. Whereas she kind of made a bit of a point of be like, don't film, like don't just take it all in and like really enjoy it, and all that stuff will be waiting for you when you get back, like just take in the holiday. And I was a bit like, I wonder why.
But you were just being suspicious of everything.
I was suspicious of everything.
Yeah. But it's a nice holiday, it's our anniversary,
that's the thing.
We had some nice restaurants, but like, kind of, I mean, we had spoken about it loosely, saying, you know, not this year we spoke about it loosely, we spoke about it a while ago loosely, being like, I mean, we're planners, so we're probably a bit weird, but it's fun to get lost in the hypotheticals. And it was like, you know, it'd be fun to be married before you turn 30, it'd be fun to do it this year, all of those kinds of things.
That's what I was kind of saying earlier, like we are big talkers, so the concept of us getting engaged and him proposing at some point was like always on the cards. But anyway, tell the story briefly of, so you called my parents.
Yeah. So basically, I left it as late as possible. So it was the week before we were going away. I was working back at home, and you went out to get your nails done. And I was working away at my computer, and I all of a sudden realized she wasn't here, like in the house, and I'd been waiting for that moment pretty much for a couple of days. So all of a sudden it occurred to me, like I remember literally halfway through typing email, standing up and being like, oh, I need to phone Tim and Alison now. And I just dialed it. Like, and as it started ringing, my heart started racing. My hands started getting sweaty. I started panicking, thinking I'm quite woefully unprepared yet. Obviously, I've rehearsed sort of in my head what I would say. So similar to like the proposal thing, I think he answered. Luckily, your dad's such a chill guy. So
yeah, I think it was quite important to my dad as well that you didn't ask. Like, anyway, you can tell.
Yeah, so like I said to him, you know, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and we're going to do it in Italy. And I mean, I didn't point blank say like I'm not asking your permission, but I sort of carved a conversation that was saying, you know, these are the things I'm looking at doing. I hope that's okay with you, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, my parents only got married 2 years ago, so they were together for 35 years before they got married. They never really did things in the traditional order that you do things. So the concept of marriage and like all that, I don't know the right way to put it, but they're not necessarily very conventional people. So my dad had always said to me when I was a teenager, when I was growing up, like, kind of like, I hope a guy doesn't ever ask my permission, because you're not mine to sell, or like you're not mine, I don't own you.
Yeah.
So my dad has always kind of had that opinion. So, you know, we'd kind of talked about it, and I mean, again, Karen was the same thing. It was like, you know, I'm not asking him if that's okay, but I'm kind of saying as like a respect thing, I guess, this is what I'd like to do, and I hope you'd be happy about it.
Totally.
Which is basically exactly what you did.
Yeah. And
my dad was like, cool, sounds good.
Yeah, he did. He didn't. Well, his next question to me was, he said, "Oh," he started laughing and said, "Oh, that's so cool that you'd ask. Well, that you'd tell me." And then his next question was, "Does she know?" I said, "No, she has no idea." And I prefer if we kept it that way.
I know. The next question my dad asked was basically like, "Does she know you're going to do it? Like, can I chat to her about it?
Yeah.
Can I chat to her about it?" And Karen was like, "No, it's a surprise. You can't chat to her about it until afterwards."
Yeah. And then fortunately your mum was there nearby, so your mum's...
Yeah, it was important to me that you spoke to both of them.
It's important to me as well. I think that it feels wrong to just ask your dad because your mum's they're both as important to you.
Yeah, totally. So that was really nice. Okay, next, let's talk about the ring. Let me just have a look through all of these, right? Did you hint at what style you like? Ring details? Did you go ring shopping together? When? How early on? Did Cameron know the kind of ring you're after? Does it need to be resized? Okay, let's just talk all about the ring. First of all, they required me to ask for a close-up, so I'll give it to you. So this is the ring. I love her. She's absolutely stunning. She's got a big diamond in the middle, little ones around the outside, and then a gold band, and I love her. Like, literally perfect. So, to answer some of those questions, one, no, we never went ring shopping together. Weirdly, it was something I never wanted to do. I've also been always really superstitious about trying on anybody else's like engagement ring or putting any ring on that finger ever. I don't know, I'm a little bit superstitious, I'm very sentimental about everything. So there was just part of me that didn't want to do that. I also always really maintained that whatever ring you got, I was going to love. And I don't know, it's like a bit of a juxtaposition of my personality, because partly I'm quite particular and I know what I like, and I care about what I like, but equally I genuinely do believe that you could have given me any ring and I would have honestly attached so much sentimentality to it. I would have absolutely loved it no matter what you'd got me. So no, we never did ring shopping or anything like that. But slightly tied to that question, yes, last August, he sent to my flat when I was back in the flat like a little ring sizing package from a jeweler that had like a ring sizer in it and a little leaflet that talked all about how to get your ring measurements. At the time I remember being like, oh, that's exciting. And he sent me a message being like, look, I've sent this to your house so that one day when the time is right for us, I'll know what size you are. So I had done that then, which was like the extent of like the prep that we'd done. And then in terms of the style of the ring, I always knew that I wanted a ring that felt like a bit of a flower. Like, I love florals, I love flowers. And both of my grandma's rings always reminded me a little bit of a flower. Like, one of my grandma's rings was like all of the little bits around the outside, all in a little cluster together. And my other's grandma's ring was one diamond in the middle with two like gold flowers on either side. And it was never going to be possible for me to have either of those rings. One of my grandma's rings went to my aunt, like her daughter. So that was kind of going to go to my cousins down that side. And my other grandma's ring, my mum wears, and it's like very sentimentally important to my mum, and I'd never want to take it off my mum so that I could have it or anything like that. But you guys saw it on my vision board, and I did see a couple of ads that like popped up, or pictures that popped up of a ring that looked just like this. And when I saw it, I literally gasped, because it was such, to me, a perfect blend of my two grandma's rings, and it felt like it looked like a flower, and I just loved it.
I think it wasn't all one big conversation.
I was never like, this is the one I want, here it is. But yeah, I just guess organically you'd kind of seen it, or I'd been like, oh my gosh, look at this that's just popped up, isn't this pretty? And then like, I mean, did you ever go through my phone?
No, so
because I do have like a folder on my phone.
Yeah, but I asked you, we would have different conversations, and then we would talk about it, but like obviously not like I sent you ring signs and the next day we started having conversations about your ring. It was like organically a child, we would into conversation, we'd be sitting on the sofa on a Sunday watching TV or whatever, and we'd see something on TV. You know, hypothetically, what kind of ring would you want? And then you would show me a folder and you'd show me different things, and you explain to me about the flower. So I just sort of absorbed information over time. You sent me, I'd be like, oh, can you send me that example? Then we'd joke about it. And then I would kind of say, I saved them all, I've got a little folder on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I don't even really remember sending them to you. Like I said, like it's not like I was ever like, this is the one I want.
No.
Anyway, you compiled all the information literally perfect. Like, it's literally perfect. And it's all the things I wanted. Like, I wanted a gold band. This is what I mean, like, I wouldn't have minded, but I wasn't very particular. I wanted a gold band, but I wanted all of the claws, like the clasps around the diamonds, to be silver. And that was also something that I really loved about your mum's ring. Like, when I saw your mum's ring, hers was a mix of silver and gold.
Yeah.
And all of the, like I don't know what you call them, but like the claws or the clasps that held the diamonds in his mum's ring were all silver, but the band was gold. And I really loved how that looked.
Yeah, and I remember talking about that. And I mean, that was one of the things, that ring wasn't designed that way naturally. Like we had to make had those changes made.
Yeah.
And the one that they were going to make for you, because I knew you said that.
Yeah. So anyway, he's just very good at listening, I guess. But that is the story behind the ring. I love it. It's perfect. Okay, next question. Oh, okay. Last question about the ring. Is the ring from South Africa?
No. It's from England.
It's not. Okay. You can be here for part of this last question, then you can.
Scoot along.
Then you can scoot along back to all the things you're doing. Will we get married in the UK, South Africa, both, or a secret option D?
I want to know the answer to this question. Can you tell me?
So,
No, I'm joking.
we are in very early discussions. We've partly said we're not going to start proper wedding planning until the autumn. I kind of want to celebrate my 30th, and too many celebrations at once will make my brain melt, and I'm 30 at the beginning of September, so we've kind of said after that we'll go like full speed ahead on the wedding planning stuff. But our preliminary thoughts are that we want to get married in
South Africa.
which would be so exciting. Like I said, nothing set in stone, not making any promises, but South Africa is what we're hoping for at the moment. Anyway, I can release you now. You did such a good job at the proposal and joining in. Okay, sorry, I feel like we stole so much of his time there because I know that he's got a lot of deadlines for tomorrow. Anyway, I feel like that was a lot of detail. Sorry if we ramble too much, all about the ring, the proposal, pre that, etc. Let's talk a little bit about the wedding, but honestly, there's gonna be enough wedding chats over the next 18 months that we're gonna keep it light. But yeah, as we said, hopefully South Africa. I would love to get married there. I don't know if we'll do like the official thing in the UK first before we go. I do feel quite conflicted about it. I imagine my family will feel a little bit conflicted about it only because I love England and I love the concept of having like a lovely British wedding. But I also feel quite strongly that all of our lives are going to be here. We would hopefully love to have a family one day, so we'd want to raise our children here. Like, we're never going to live anywhere else, or maybe that's too bold of a statement to make. You've no idea where life's going to take you, but we don't think we'll ever live in South Africa. So to me, to get married where he's from, if we're going to live where I'm from, it just feels nice to me. Also, I just love it. I just really feel like a piece of my heart belongs to Africa. To some degree, I feel it always has. Like, I've always had family that lived not in South Africa, to be fair, but Tanzania and Kenya, and my dad grew up in South Africa for a good 10 formative years of his life between the ages of about 6 and 16. He lived in South Africa, something along those lines. So actually in Cape Town. So it's kind of Africa just woven into my soul in a way that I'll probably never be able to explain. And now that I've met him and everything's just worked out so perfectly, I'd love to get married there if that can work. In terms of when, I'm not going to talk to you about when just yet because that just feels too hypothetical. I don't know the answer, but very excited about wedding stuff. Again, some of you have asked questions about like how many bridesmaids I'm gonna have. I'm throwing things out with you because you know I always tell you things even if they're in draft, but I think 6. I think I'm having 6 bridesmaids. I don't think we're gonna balance bridesmaids and groomsmen. We've started to make a little bit of a list of like the guests we might want to come. But this has all been very like over a glass of wine in the evening, hypothetically just like pulled up a spreadsheet and just started spitting names out. We're not doing anything seriously or boldly. If we do a South African wedding, I think the first thing for us is going to be potentially finding a planner. If I was doing a UK wedding, I might not have a planner, but if we do it in South Africa, I think I'll need one because I'm not going to know vendors and how all that works. I've also got a couple of questions here about whether it would be a church wedding or not. I don't think it would be a church wedding. My only debate is if we could potentially have like a church wedding here to do the official part of it and then get married in South Africa. I'm not especially religious and neither is he. My family aren't very religious, but his dad and the rest of his family are, and I've always felt a closeness to religion. My grandparents were, and you know, we do go to church for certain special occasions and for certain big like religious occasions like, you know, Christmas and Easter and things like that. So I think from my perspective, if having some religious elements to the ceremony or to our wedding would mean a lot to certain family members, then I'm definitely not against it. But I don't want it to be a full religious ceremony because I don't think that would feel very authentic to me because I'm not especially religious, and I think same for Cameron as well. So yeah, I think it'll probably be a bit of a blend from that perspective. And then there's so many questions about like babies and when we're gonna have them and if we do want a family, and the answer is like absolutely yes, we do want a family. We'd love to have children one day. It's not given. We know that life is complicated, but hopefully that is on the cards for us, but not yet. Although I'm not talking about exactly when we're going to get married, like it's not for a year at least, so we've got time before like babies come onto the scene for us. We definitely want to like be married and have done the full wedding thing before starting a family comes onto the scene for us. Again, I know everybody does things differently in their own timeline, but for us we want to be married first and we want to enjoy this entire wedding period before we enter building a bigger family for ourselves. And I think that covers most of them, you know, as I'm having a look at the questions. And I think I've covered it. I hope I've covered your question if you sent one in. If you really think I haven't, let me know. Put your questions back in the comments of this video because I am gonna start a wedding series. Next week's video is gonna be a vlog of our engagement party, which is a couple of days from now. I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be very relaxed, but I am also planning a lot of decorations that I want to just make it feel really lovely. So I'm gonna vlog my whole prep for that party and I'll vlog the party as well and I'll share that in next week's video. And then there'll probably be a little bit of a break in the wedding content before it picks up again and I'll start a proper series and I'll try and have more regular videos that just update you on all of my bridal prep, all of the planning. If we do officially decide on South Africa, if that changes, I'm gonna take you with me every single step of the way without a shadow of a doubt. I am one of those girls that's been thinking about their wedding ever since she was little. I don't know why, maybe because my parents didn't get married until they'd been together for 35 years and had 3 kids, but the concept of a wedding has always just been so exciting to me. So yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts, I've got a lot of ideas. I've always had a vision in my head of what it would be like. And I think in lots of ways, Cameron is the same. I don't think he's been thinking about it in the same way that I have, but he also is quite particular. He knows what he likes and he loves planning, he loves that whole thing. So I think that we'll be doing a lot of it very much together as opposed to it being quite like a bridal driven thing, which I'm also really excited about to do that together. But anyway, I have rambled on for so long. I actually have no idea how long this video is, but I feel like it could be extremely long. I know my last few have been quite long as well and just feels like I had a few videos break when we were in Italy and all of a sudden I'm just like desperate to hang out with you guys again. So I hope you don't mind the longer videos, but thank you so much for watching. As I said, if I haven't answered your question, pop it in the comments and I will definitely get back to you, or I will include the answer in the upcoming wedding video. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having the loveliest week and I truly cannot wait to see you in the next one.